gonna get so much for this. What is up, everybody? Welcome to 10-Pin Life. Today we are going to take a look at the thing that tends to rile the most people up in my world. By the end of this video, I'm gonna convince you that spares, in fact, don't win. Before we get started, if you're already on my side, hit that subscribe button. Why not? I mean, if you're already on Team 8-Bagger, we could probably be friends, so why not help a buddy out? It's been said so many times at this point, it's become a cliche.
Spare shooting.
How to become a great spare shooter now.
The importance of having some sort of spare system.
I'm going to be giving you some spare tips to improve your spare game.
We're going to talk about spare shooting.
Stop missing spares.
But just because a lot of people say it, I don't think it automatically makes it true. And in fact, I think there's 3 pretty compelling reasons to stop thinking this way. So let's break it down. The first reason that spares don't win is because the scoring system in bowling is inherently flawed. Let's cover some basics. In bowling, a spare is worth 10 plus your next shot, so the maximum total value of a spare is 20. A strike is 10 plus your next 2 shots, so the maximum value is 30. Now, to be fair, it's kind of a convoluted system, but it's lasted more than a century at this point, so I think we have to accept it for what it is. But the purpose of having a scoring system at all is to determine a winner and a loser within a certain time frame, to have an objective measure of who performed better in the time, or in this case, frames allotted. Whether you believe this system to be a true reflection of who actually bowled better is up for debate for sure. It's skewed, confusing for non-bowlers, and it may not be the best. Bill O'Neill went so far as to propose an entirely new system similar to golf scoring, where you throw until all 10 pins are knocked over and the total times the ball is delivered is your score for that frame. A perfect frame would be a 1, and a frame where you leave a 10 pin and it takes 3 attempts to knock it over would be a 4. Lowest score wins. But this isn't about the quality of the scoring system. The reality is bowling scoring is what it is, and in that, striking is up to 50% more valuable than spares. Higher scores skew to favoring 1-ball frames. In fact, it skews so quickly that it's not only possible, but it's a regular occurrence that bowlers will lose to an opponent who has more open frames than them. Typically, the bowler who has the longer string of strikes tends to come out ahead regardless of the spares they made, all because of the stacking nature of this scoring system. And with that system that's in place, the simple truth is that if you don't string strikes, you're not going to win. Let's take a look at the 2011 US Open as an example. The final match of this event may include the most viral missed spare in PBA history. Mika Koivuniemi, who was known as one of the best spare shooters in the world, needed to fill his 10th frame to beat Norm Duke for the US Open title.
Single pin spare, misses it! He missed it!
This is easily one of the most cited moments to criticize my position on spares. It's so simple that had Mika made his spare, he would have won. Spares would have won. Okay, sure, but I don't think that tells the whole story. First off, Norm absolutely dug his way out of a hole by putting up the last 4 strikes. Had any of the first 3 not carried, Mika would have just needed count in the 10th and he wins. Easy peasy. But Norm buckled down, struck out, and forced Mika to mark. At the same time, Mika had a 4-bagger coming into the 10th frame, and even though Norm had an open in the 5th and Mika didn't have one until the end, he still needed that string of 4 to stay in the match. If the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th hit doesn't carry, Norm forces Mika to double in the 10th, so that wrap 10 would have been the end of it. So if you ask me, it's not the spares that made the difference, it's the strings of strikes. Norm had the advantage because he had a 3-bagger and he had a 4-bagger, while Mika went Dutch for the first 6 frames. Sure, Mika gave himself a chance by staying clean, but even if he had made that 10-pin, it wouldn't have been the spare that made him win. It was the 4-bagger that came before it. The second reason spares don't win actually has nothing to do with the value of a spare itself. As a bowler and as a coach, one of the hardest things to pull yourself or someone you're coaching out of is a bad, defeated, or a failure mindset. It's a self-fulfilling demise that you have to actively control, or it will run you straight into the ground. It's the inverse of the cliche that success breeds confidence. Failure breeds a lack of confidence and thus more failure. And let's be real here, you're going to miss spares. We all do. The best in the world do. So for me, one way that I've found to control the narrative I tell myself when I miss spares is just that they don't win. So what? You missed it. Move on. Besides, if you throw a double right behind it, you'll forget it ever happened. I think most bowlers perform more effectively when they're loose, having fun, and just putting in their best effort for the one shot that's in front of them. If you can't help but think about how stupid you are for missing a corner pin and that missed spare is going to be the difference between you winning and losing,
God, Karen, you are so stupid.
you're not going to have the focus necessary to throw your next shot to the best of your ability. The past is the past. You can't do anything about it besides throw the next one better, and thankfully, I found a mechanism that works for me to do just that. Lastly, at this point, having a good spare game is a given. Even though I hold the belief that spares don't win and for some reason am choosing to die on this hill, I still practice my spares. They're valuable and everyone should practice them.
But we talking about practice, man.
If you want to compete in bowling, you have to be able to fill frames, plain and simple. But that's been the standard the entire time the sport has existed. It's not news that spares are valuable. In fact, they're more than twice as valuable than the best open frame you can muster. But everyone who competes in the sport knows that it's a given. Everyone knows that you have to have it and that you may not win with spares, but you'll certainly open your way to a loss. I think of it like a driver on a golf course. Anyone can learn how to hit the long ball, just like how anyone can learn how to throw a bowling ball straight. But you won't win with your driver. You'll lose by spraying balls into the woods 5 times in a round, just like if you can't fill frames, but striking, just like putting, is where the money is made. So let's be real, there's only so much time to practice. There's only so many shots a person can throw before it becomes useless repetitions. If you only use that time to practice your spare game and don't learn how to strike, you're not going to win anything. You could go without having any opens in an 8-game block, and if you can't strike, you still might even miss a cut. You don't just luck your way into 8-baggers either. You have to know how to strike. So use your practice time wisely. Figure out how to make shapes and be versatile with your hand positions and ball speeds, and know your equipment and all of that stuff. Being able to knock them all over in one shot is just more valuable than trying to have a perfect spare game. So there you have it. That's my case for why spares don't win. If you agree, drop a like. If you disagree, throw a comment down and let me know why. But no matter what you do, don't forget, your best life is the 10-pin life. See ya.